right, y'all. I'm really excited about this next conversation. Today, I've got State Representative James Talarico with me. James is someone I respect a lot because at the core, we're coming from the same place. We both grew up in working families, raised with faith, discipline, and a deep belief that public service should actually mean something. His family roots are in Laredo. He worked as a public school teacher in San Antonio. And look, the 956 doesn't always claim San Antonio as South Texas, but we're going to let that one slide today. James and I are on a similar mission. We're both trying to bring a new kind of politics into the state, one that's grounded, values-driven, and unapologetically Texan. We're about taking back what it means to be a Texas Democrat, not by changing who we are, but by remembering who we've always been. I'm proud to have him here, and I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. So let's get into it. James, welcome to my Ranch Hall podcast, man.
Thanks for having me.
Dude,
I'm honored to be here.
I'm honored to have you, man. I really am. I've seen a lot. I was a fan of James Telerico before James Telerico was cool.
I see, you're right? A hipster, a James Telerico hipster.
You became cool when you did Joe Rogan, right? That's when all the like people like my brother were like, "Hey, I like this guy," but I was like, "Oh, I'm familiar with him."
Yeah,
Man, I just love your approach to public service.
Thank you.
I do, man. And I'm telling you, I've seen you on the House floor as just make them look dumb.
Yeah.
and you do it so nice. You don't have to get ugly.
That's right.
And that's what I love. Yeah. Because, in Spanish we call it cachetada con guante blanco, where you have the white glove and you say whap whap, and they say, "No, wake up. This is what it is." And I really like that style. I think it's important to have that. And I've, read up on you. I know your mom's from Laredo.
Yeah.
I have a question. Do you have any Latino blood in you?
I don't. No.
Nothing.
No.
Okay.
I don't. But our family comes from South Texas.
Yeah.
My mom's from Laredo. My granddad was born and raised in Bishop, outside Kingsville, and my adoptive dad, grew up in Corpus. So, this part of the state is home for us.
How old are you?
36.
Gosh, man.
Yeah.
I feel like an old fogey, man. I'm 52.
But you don't look 52.
but yeah, man. I mean, that's so awesome. And I know you're a teacher.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Where did you teach?
So I taught on the west side of San Antonio.
Okay.
At Rhodes Middle School. It's a beautiful historic neighborhood. It's also one of the poorest zip codes in the entire state of Texas. So, my students, they struggled heroically to overcome poverty and overcome these systems that were really designed to hold them back.
That's true.
And the way my students fought, the way their families fought, is what inspires me to fight every day. And it's why I ran for office, to help them and students just like them all over the state.
What subject did you teach?
Language arts, reading and writing.
Awesome.
Yep, 6th grade.
Man, that's so admirable. And I think that makes perfect sense why you fought so hard against vouchers.
That's right. Yeah.
Because it bothers me, man. Like, I mean, my 3 oldest boys went to public school.
Yeah.
I went to public school.
Yep.
My youngest child is in Montessori because my wife is a Montessori guide and she wanted him to get into that. But, I think at our core, we're all about helping people.
Yeah.
And I've been blessed with a successful career. Taxes are not fun to pay.
Yeah.
But I want a better society. I want a better community.
Right.
I want to help each other out.
That's right.
And I just can't see as where people would say, well, I'm going to take my credit over here and you're going to take money away from the public school system.
Right.
And I commend you on that fight.
Yeah, I mean, I also wouldn't be here if it wasn't for public schools. My mom didn't get to go to college, but because of Texas public schools and those Texas public school teachers, I got to go to the University of Texas. And I remember she would tell me, because after she grew up in Laredo, she moved up to Austin, and she worked at a hotel downtown. And she said on her way to work, she would pass the UT Tower, and she would dream about what it was like to go to a school like that and what kind of people got to go to a school like that. And then for her to watch her son graduate right under that same tower that's the American dream. And that was made possible because of public education. So it's why I fight so hard for our public school teachers, for our public school funding, in the halls of the state capitol, where it's been under attack, as you know.
Oh, geez. I have friends of mine that have been in the legislature and even at the Senate level too, right? And it seems like for a long time, I don't know, how long have you been there?
4 terms.
4 terms.
8 years.
So 8 years.
Yeah.
Before the MAGA movement came in, it seemed to me, and from what I've heard, is that Republicans and Democrats got along really good, right?
Absolutely.
It wasn't the polarization that we see on the national level.
Right.
It seemed like you could go to a restaurant afterwards with somebody and say like, okay, man. And I think that made Texas great because it was bipartisan.
That's right.
Republicans brought some ideas. Democrats had their ideas. And I think more importantly, Democrats were respected.
Right.
Even though we weren't in the in the majority, it seems like that's been lost.
Absolutely. And it used to be a bipartisan priority to fund public education.
Right.
Both K through 12, but also higher education. I mean, Republicans and Democrats throughout Texas history wanted Texas colleges, Texas universities to be the best in the nation. And now because of all these culture war fights, the extremism, the corruption, you now see some of these Republicans at the state capitol attacking public schools, public universities, public colleges. And to me, it doesn't make any sense because if you're an old school conservative, you believe you don't give a man to fish, you teach a man to fish. And I believe that too. But how are you going to teach a man to fish when you're defunding the schools?
No, basically they're saying, F you, go figure it out yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
And that's, you're asking people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but you're not giving them boots. And so it used to be a conservative value to invest in education because when you invest in education, then you spend less money on welfare, you spend less money on criminal justice later on. It's much better and it's cheaper to pay for this stuff on the front end than it is to pay for it on the back end.
100%.
And so it just doesn't make any sense to me that we are attacking our schools and our teachers. I'm not saying that public schools are perfect.
No.
We've got a lot of work to do to make sure that every single child, regardless of how much money their parents make, have the opportunities they deserve.
I agree.
But you don't do that by defunding the schools or attacking the teachers.
No. It seems to me like ever since Reagan, the whole ethos of Republican Party was that government was the problem.
Right.
And I think that better government should be the goal.
Yeah.
Right? Even if it's imperfect and it needs to be fixed, you can't stop that fight.
That's
you
right.
always got to try to make it better.
That's exactly
because I believe it can work.
Yes.
And
and the government shouldn't do everything, but it should do a few things really well.
Yeah.
And one of those is public education. And I think we got to work on bringing more technology into our classrooms. We got to work on recruiting the best and brightest to be our teachers. We got to get rid of these standardized tests that are destroying teaching and learning in the classroom. But all those things are not going to get better by defunding those schools or by attacking those teachers. And so it's why I fight so hard. And, we got to take that fight to the federal level. It's why so glad you're running.
Absolutely.
It's why I'm running for Senate because we're seeing these attacks on education now at the federal level too.
Yeah, well, it just didn't make any sense for them to close the Department of Education and send that money to our state legislature, which has done a terrible job. I think we're like 47th in education in the nation.
Right.
Right? I mean, you're literally giving the people that have driven it to the ground more money to drive it further into the ground.
Yes, that's exactly right.
It just doesn't make
No, it's insanity. But what gives me hope is that I do feel like there is bipartisan opposition to this extremism. When we were fighting vouchers, it was Democrats from cities and suburbs, and it was then Republicans from small towns.
And we got rid of some of them.
Well, I know.
They got rid of 6 of them.
Yes. It was Greg Abbott who got rid of his own Republican colleagues.
That's right.
Because they believe in public education.
Because they weren't extreme enough.
Exactly. And these,
That's crazy.
These are friends of mine, these Republican legislators. These guys were very conservative. Their only sin was that they believed in their local schools. And as you know, Bobby, like in small towns in Texas, the public school is not just an academic institution. It is a community hub, right? I mean, Friday Night Lights, it brings people together.
No doubt.
And so these rural legislators wanted to fight for their local schools, and they stood up to this voucher scam. And once they did that, Greg Abbott took $12 million from an out-of-state billionaire, a guy from Pennsylvania, and then he spent that money attacking them and taking them out. And it's such a travesty to have that kind of extremism in our politics. And I feel like people are sick of it on both sides of the
They
aisle.
are absolutely sick of it. Here in the Rio Grande Valley, the people here, politically speaking, they keep everything between the 40-yard lines.
Yes, yeah.
They're not extreme.
Right.
They don't like extremes.
That's right.
You know?
Common sense.
And I know
Yeah.
I know you ran in a district that was a swing district,
I did,
right?
yep.
Which is something that really, really interests me because I'm sure you went in there as the underdog,
Oh, of course.
right?
Yeah. I was running in a district that President Trump won 2 years before I ran in it. And a lot of people told me that flipping that district was impossible.
hear
They
the
told
same.
me the district was unwinnable. Yeah, same things they're saying now.
You're the same.
And so a lot of people wrote me off. But I ran an aggressive campaign. I went door to door. I went to every door, not just Democrats, not just independents, but Republicans too.
Bingo.
And I told people, I said, you may not agree with me on every issue. I don't agree with anyone on every issue.
Me neither.
But I'll make you 3 promises. One, I will always be accessible to you.
Yeah.
2, I will always be honest with you. And then 3, I'll always fight for you. Even if you don't vote for me, I'm going to fight for you and your family. And that meant a lot to people. That kind of basic decency is something that's been missing in our politics for a long time. That kind of servant leadership.
For sure.
And I feel like that's how I was able to flip that district with 51% of the vote on election night.
And you grew that
Yeah.
ever since then.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? Which means you kept doing a better job.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
And that's great because I think authenticity is something we don't see. I'm not a politician.
Right.
My last name is Pulido, which in English means polished,
Yeah.
but I'm not polished.
Yeah, yeah.
I just kind of call
Yeah.
things like I see them, you
Yeah.
know. And sometimes it doesn't really fit in a bubble of
Right.
a political ideology.
Yep.
It just doesn't. It's calling balls and strikes and
Yep.
saying, well, this is what I think the people need.
Right.
And yeah, so I mean, and that's one of the things that really impressed me about you because you went into swing district, something that I can relate to.
Yep.
I'm going into the same.
Yep.
They told me, oh, she could never lose, and you know, it's really tough, and I feel really good.
Yeah. Well, and you've just caught fire. I mean, so many people down here are so excited about your campaign. People all over the state who don't even live here are so excited about your campaign.
Well, I mean, we're really excited, and there's one thing that I wanted to ask you, and I think it's going to be real pertinent to you and to me, and to our campaigns. And you mentioned what Greg Abbott did by taking out these state reps that were Republican
Yes.
in these rural areas.
Right.
I'm really frustrated, James, as a rural Democrat.
Yeah.
I'm really frustrated. I'm a rural guy. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have broadband in my house.
Yeah.
I have a cell phone tower.
Yeah.
I don't even have broadband.
Yeah.
I'm a rural guy. I live the rural life, and I talk to a lot of rural people, and I just trying to figure out, like, what are we doing as a party that we're not getting our message across why we're better for them? Like, you know, in my district, there's a lot of oil and gas jobs.
Yeah.
Lots of them.
Yeah.
Right? And when people say, oh, Green New Deal, or we want to ban fracking,
Right.
to them, that tells them, I'm going to take away your job.
Right.
And it really freaks people out.
Yeah.
And I want a clean environment.
Yeah, me too.
All
Yeah.
of that, right? But, you know, I think eventually we're going to get there.
Yeah.
But eliminating these green projects that were already on our way
Right.
is madness.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I those public schools I was talking about earlier, they were funded by the oil and gas industry. So I owe everything
Right.
to this industry. And a lot of people in South Texas would say the same thing.
Same
I mean,
thing.
these are some of the best jobs you can get.
Right.
And they are keeping whole families afloat.
Yeah.
And so the idea that politicians in Washington think they can just eliminate this industry, eliminate these jobs, it's something we're going to have to fight against. Something we're going to have to fight against in our own party.
That's true.
And I'm a big fan of the new renewable industry that
Sure,
we got in
of
Texas.
course.
We're now number 1 in wind and solar, which is awesome.
need everything.
Yeah, I mean Texas was a leader in energy in the 20th century, and I want us to stay a leader in energy in the 21st century, in the 22nd century.
Sure.
Like I want us to build on this expertise that we have. But it's gonna take an all of the above approach. It's got to be oil and
agree.
gas,
I
and it's
agree.
got to be renewables. It's not an either or choice. And I feel like too many people in our own party, talk about eliminating oil and gas, and it's just, one, it's not practical. 2, it would do so much damage
It
to our
would.
state, and
It would.
do damage to the whole country, which relies on our industry here in Texas to keep us moving, keep us powered.
If anything, my approach is I want these rich oil and gas companies that are making billions of dollars to at least offer severance packages to all these people that work in the oil and gas fields that are 1099.
Yeah.
So when the Saudis, when President says drill, baby, drill, and the Saudis increase production and the price of the barrel goes down, they just fire them and go home. And they got mortgages and they got car payments and they got to live their life. And I think that at the very least, these oil companies should help them get back on their feet, even if it's 3 months, 6, whatever it is, right? Just something.
Yeah, because those workers are the ones that they make this industry run.
They make it go, man. Yeah. So take care of your people,
exactly.
Right? It's not about banning fracking.
And that used to be, we used to have companies in this country that understood their responsibility to their workers and to the broader community. Nowadays, these giant corporations, all they care about is their bottom line. And they don't feel a sense of responsibility to the people around them. So we got to get back to a better, corporate ethos, corporate citizens. I think about HEB, a beloved Texas company.
They're great,
right?
Great.
And they make money. They sell excellent products. They have excellent customer service, but they also take care of the community. When there's a natural disaster in Texas,
the first ones.
HEB is the first one to show up.
They are
usually before the state government shows up.
That's true.
And so I just want more of our companies, more of our business leaders, to take a page out of that playbook and think more broadly about what is a shareholder. It's not just your technical shareholder, but it's the workers, it's their families, it's the community members. That's how you build an economy that includes everybody.
Amen to that. I'll tell you this. I think a lot of things that really interested me in your campaign that we've already mentioned. There's one thing that you did that I did too, and I caught heat for it, and I don't know if you caught heat as well. But only us in Texas really know our people. Yeah. And we know what our people have been saying at us and what they've been screaming at us. Yeah. We're on the border here.
Yes.
Okay? When I have criticized the Biden administration for how they handled the border, I caught some pretty, not a lot, but some flack.
It's probably from people who don't live on the border. But, people who don't understand what's happening here.
The thing is, I want to commend you because if we're going to improve and win elections again and do the work for the people, we have to be honest with the people.
Yes.
And that means, like I teach my kids, right? If you commit a mistake or you messed up, it's okay. Own
up to it.
Own up to it and say, you know what? We were wrong.
That's right.
But now we're going to make it better.
That's right.
And here's what we're going to do. And I saw you do that. And man, I'm telling you, I don't mean be fanboying you, but it's refreshing to see because I felt the same way.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not criticizing your side.
Sure.
Listen, I'm a Democrat.
Yeah.
And I believe the Democratic policies are better than Republicans' policies. Yeah. And 9 of the last 10 recessions have been started under Republican administrations and GDP growth and all of those things.
Yep.
But we're not flawless. We make mistakes.
That's right.
And we got to own up to it.
Yeah. I agree. I've said I'm a proud Texas Democrat.
Yeah.
But I already have a religion and I already have a sports team. And so I have no problem sharing hard truths with my party when things need to change. And the reason I'm a Texas Democrat is because of our legacy. From LBJ to Barbara Jordan and Ann Richards. You mentioned the history of our party on the economy. When you look, I was born in 1989, and since then, Democratic administrations, including Bill Clinton and Barack Obama and Joe Biden, they created 50 million new jobs over that time. Republican administrations created 1 million.
That's a huge difference.
The record on the economy is crystal clear. And we're the only party that's balanced the budget.
Bill Clinton.
Right.
And he worked with Newt Gingrich.
That's exactly right. And so, I'll put our record up against anyone, but you're right, we're not perfect. And the Biden administration failed us on our southern border. And I remember talking to my colleagues who represented these border communities, and they were telling me about the utter chaos in these communities because of those policies. And it was unacceptable. And I think his failure as president is what paved the way for the current extremism that we're seeing on the other side.
I think it's true.
And people just,
and mind you, I think he did a lot of great things.
Sure, of course.
Right? I think that was a big thing that hurt us.
Yeah, me too.
Right? And so it's not talking bad about the man.
Sure.
It's the administration. I'm sure he had a team. And and I just, I have a friend of mine that was in law enforcement that reached out. They wrote letters.
Yeah.
They never got a response back.
Yeah.
And I just think that you can't run that way.
That's right.
Right? You cannot run that way. And I really feel that as a rural Democrat, like I want to go back and show the rural America why we're better.
Yes.
Why we're better.
Yep.
Right? I mean, rural hospitals with this big bad bill got defunded almost $1 trillion.
Yeah.
I mean, make that make sense.
Right.
It just they're abandoning it. On the contrary, the cattle ranchers right now, cattle ranchers have always rolled with the punches of the market. When it's good, they roll. When it's bad, they roll. All of a sudden, when it's finally getting good for them, the president comes in there and says, "Oh, you know what? Too bad. You're making too much money."
Bailing out Argentina,
Yes.
And I've been hearing from ranchers and from farmers about how they feel like they've been sold out by this administration with tariff policies and, helping other countries instead of helping folks here. And I think to win back the trust of rural Texas, we've got to show up. And I love that that's what you're doing on this campaign. It's what I'm doing. I'm going everywhere. I'm not just visiting blue parts of the state. I'm going out to red parts of the state.
Right.
And I've held packed town halls in Longview and in Victoria, Texas, in San Angelo.
One of my ancestors founded Victoria, Texas.
Yeah.
Martin
You've got
de Leon.
deep roots.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So we've got to show up. We've got to earn back their trust. And I think we have an opportunity to do that because of the extremism and the corruption that they're seeing in Washington.
And it's interesting that you say that because, and I swear to you, I didn't steal it from you. Because, when we talk about affordability, I've heard both parties always say, we need to make things more affordable. But very few people running for office or candidates actually talk about why are things more expensive.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're like, well, anybody can just say everything's too expensive and I want to fight for affordability. What does that mean?
Right.
I think that ever since Reagan started cutting the corporate tax rate down, every president, with the exception of Bill Clinton that raised it, has kowtowed to corporate America at the expense of Main Street.
Yeah.
It's corruption.
Yeah. Because that's these mega donors run our politics.
Yeah.
I always tell people, just follow the money. And if you look at where a politician gets their money, you can usually tell how they're going to vote. And because of Citizens United and some of the changes in our campaign finance laws, the influence of big money is staggering.
It is.
In our politics. And
it is.
Yeah, I mean, really, really rich people are going to rig the rules in their own favor, and it's going to hurt the rest of us who can't write a $12 million check.
Correct.
Like that Pennsylvania billionaire. And so, I have said before, if we're going to make progress on costs, the cost of prescription drugs, the cost of housing, the cost of childcare, the costs at the grocery store, we have to tackle corruption first.
That's right.
Because we're not going to make progress on any of those issues until we get big money out of our politics and we have a government that works for the people, not mega donors. And so I feel like that is the central fight here. And I really do think that people are waking up to that fact. And there's going to be a backlash in 2026. Not a blue backlash, not a red backlash, but it is all of us.
It's a wake-up call.
That's right. Taking our government back. Yeah.
James, man, well, I just want to say thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
I'm endorsing this man. If you're a Latino and you like what I have to say, I promise you he's going to be the best person for us in the Senate. I really believe that. And I think you need to take a look. If you go in there and you see what he has to say, everything makes sense. He's an honorable person, and I think he's going to do great for us.
I'm honored. Thank you. Means a lot.